Okay, today is September 9th, 2022. It has been a long time since we did the last update on the pepper series. And the reason for that is because there was so much happening and I got really busy, but also the weather was just ridiculous. The peppers were just struggling like crazy. It looked horrible for like 3 months and didn't really grow much at all. And so those that live, in the West, or in Texas, the struggle is just really bad. And we finally got some rain, and the temperature cooled down a little bit. The ground is a little bit wetter now, and so today is a good time to provide an update. I've gotten some peppers over the past few months, but not anything to brag about, just enough to use on my own and make a few sauces here and there, but that's pretty much it. I'll go and show you shortly outside what they look like, but let's start in with the one inside, the Aerogarden. So this plant here is the Sweet Queenie, and I've had this plant for a long time. It didn't just want to stop producing, so I kept it going. I grew it in this setup right here, the Aerogarden Bounty, and it produced so many peppers, and then I trimmed it and trimmed it and trimmed it, and it keeps coming back. And even when I neglected, not changing nutrients at all, and I just keep refilling and keep refilling, that's really not a good thing. Usually you just do a few refills and then you should change it out completely, but I haven't done that for this plant, and it didn't care. It still produced nicely, and with all the abuses and all that stuff, and it's still looking great. Same with that one. Usually I'll dump the liquid out at the bottom after a few refills, and then give it fresh nutrients. But over the past few months I haven't done that. I just keep adding and keep adding. And one time I let the plant dry out completely, and I thought it was gonna die. So and I refilled the container, and then I filled it up too far, and so the plant started to drown. And so I noticed the leaves began to get soft, and then it started to fall. And so I quickly dump out some nutrients and then allow it to sit for a few days, and then it came back to life. So pepper plants are very tough, guys. So doing projects indoor is a good thing because you can do so many experiments. You can do you can mess up a lot, and then you can also learn a lot from your own mistakes and stuff like that. And so learning the cracky doing systems like this is just a wonderful idea, because there's just so many mistakes that you can do that you can learn from. One is over refill and drowning the plant, which I've done so many times, but if you correct the issue quickly, it will live. And here, guys, this is something I'm very proud of. This is the Jay's Peach Goes crossed with a Primo, and as you can see, it's starting to grow into the light, and see the leaves got burned right here. So when you grow in hydroponic, as soon as you move the light up, the branch will start to grow some more. And so they just keep growing. And so depending on varieties that you grow, super hots, for example, will always keep growing. And it'll just keep growing, and then it'll go into the light. So it requires a lot of trimming. For that one like that there, it doesn't grow anymore. As soon as it produces a lot of fruits like this, it pretty much stay about the same size. So you don't have to do much anymore, except occasional pruning, but not much. This one here, I constantly have to prune, and that is the same case for all super hots. It's gonna keep growing, and sometimes when you move the light up, the intensity is reduced, so the branches begin to stretch, and then it will stretch and it will reach the light, and then it'll touch. And then if the light is too strong, this is 100 watts right here, so it's very strong. I have it set at 40%, and so it's not even at full capacity, and it's still doing great. And look at all these fruits, guys. This variety is just amazing. The fruits are just gorgeous. They look crazy, and very beautiful. And so you see there, I have lots of fruits right here. There's a big one right there. So for those that have been wondering if hydroponic plants in small system can produce full-size peppers, yes, it will produce full-size peppers. It may require you to reduce the amount of fruits. So for super hots like this, if you allow too many, of course the fruits are going to be a lot smaller. But you know, right now I have maybe 6 or 7 or 8, under 10, but there's a lot of flowers, you see. So there's a ton of flowers, so they will come. But most of the fruits will be pretty big, and then there's some that are going to be very small. So that's just how it is when you grow them in small systems like this. Okay, so let's go outside and take a look at the rest of the other plants. Okay, here are some of the plants outside, and you will notice that I have a lot of them in buckets. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned, the weather was just so crazy that I had to dig them up and put them in buckets so I can move them away from the crazy heat that really destroyed most of the plants I have in the ground. It's just so hot that it gets dried up. The raised bed get dried every single day. And then, you know, I went on vacation, and then, you know, a few of the plants died. So anyway, here are some of the plants that I have. These are the cross that I made in the previous year. So I crossed it with a sweet chocolate linzo and a lingria. So I mean, I do all kinds of crossing experiment, but these came out pretty cool. They're small size pepper, but man, they are just so crazy hot. I mean, the heat hits right away. Very ridiculous. Okay, and the bunch that we have over here, and these are also in the linzo family. These are the chocolate factory. I have 2 different versions. One is the red and one is a chocolate. So they're very productive, and look at this. They can grow massive, and the leaves are pretty interesting. They have like a ton of leaves, but the leaves are very small, and they produce like crazy. There's just so many peppers on these. So I had to cut these back a while ago because they were about to die in the heat. So I cut them back, move them to the bucket, then put them near the garage where it gets shade in the afternoon, and then I keep the soil with the constant moisture, and then it came back and looking great. So these are just really, really nice. So they are some of the most productive peppers that I've created. They're very, very nice and spicy. So peppers everywhere. In a few weeks, you're gonna see them popping up. Right now, it's because I cut them back so much that they're taking time to recover. Okay, this is the raised bed that contained all of my habaneros. Guys, habanero are some of the toughest pepper plants you can grow. They're very reliable. So if you have problem or struggling to grow sort of like high heat peppers, try the habanero. They're very easy, and they produce really nice fruits that are, I think they're delicious, and they're very underrated because I don't see that people rave about them too much, but they're excellent pepper. They're great in hot sauces and salsa and all that stuff. And so yeah, they have a really nice flavor too, kind of tropical, a little sweet, pretty spicy, but they're extremely productive and very tough. These are some of the toughest peppers that I've grown. Sometimes they grow all the way up into the cold months, and when everything else is dead, and these are the ones that still remain. And yeah, we have see, the fruits everywhere right now. You see those? Sometimes they produce like in a little cluster where they spread out in 5 or 6 of them. So that now they're just starting to produce, because I went through the first harvest already, and see, there's some that I missed down here. So let me show you. So these are the ones that I missed because they're way down there. So I harvested some already, and now they're starting to produce the second round. So depending on where you are, I'm in Texas, so usually I could get 2 harvests if I plant them correctly. And these are either orange flames or yellow flames, I forgot. But these are really interesting variety. The leaves look really wrinkled. So when, you know, if you never grown peppers before, you're gonna think that there's something wrong with these. But that's just their habit. That's just exactly how they look. They're healthy looking this way. But they can grow pretty massive. And these are a little slow because the heat kind of delay them a little bit. And so they're starting to grow. I mean, they're not producing any flowers yet, so I don't even know if they make it. And then here we have again, I think these are yellow flames. I don't know where the tags are. I have it somewhere, but they are starting to produce as well. So there's some flowers right here. And so these are the only 2 raised beds that are actually doing well. The rest I just moved in buckets because the heat was just too much. I had to move them away from the heat. But yeah, I mean, these have not produced yet. They just started to, so I should get fruits maybe in a month. We have a long season, so this year it may go all the way into November. I'm not sure. And then we have a volunteer here. I'm not sure what these are. Like those wasps, guys. Don't mess with those guys. They're very beneficial. They'll come around. They'll hunt hornworms, caterpillars, and all that stuff. So if you see them in your garden, just let them be. And you know, I actually promote them to come around because they take care of all the pests for me. And this here is the Thai variety that I bought last year at I think it was Home Depot or Lowe's. So I grew them again because I kind of like them. They grow in little cluster like this. The pods are pretty kind of thick, a little spicy, perfect flavor for cooking. And here is another raised bed. The plants are just starting to come back again. So this one here is a stargazer. Stargazer are just enormous. They're the biggest growing variety that I created. They're just so massive. Every year I grow them, they're just the biggest plant, and they kind of spread out everywhere and kind of take over. And these are sweet linzo, and they're doing okay. And these here are the orange flame. They got eaten by rabbits early in the year, and so it kind of gave it a topping, and so now it's actually starting to come back. You see how the leaves are just super wrinkled, but they're fine. They're healthy. And I have some more plants in buckets right here. 2 reapers, and then that one here is I think is a ghost pepper. And this is a raised bed where the heat was just too much for the lemon starbursts. Look how small they are. They just look pretty bad. So I'm not expecting much from this raised bed here. Haven't gotten any peppers out of those, but the peppers that I've gotten are usually the ones in buckets and containers. See these here? Look at this. I grew them in a milk jug, and the reason I left the handle in there is because it's so that it could be easy to move around. And even in a small container, you see that it's producing a lot of peppers. Very nice. So you know, Thai varieties or annuums are great to be grown this way. White Thai, excellent plant to grow in this method, and you can get lots and lots of pepper regardless of how small the container is. And this one here is the Niwaki, and those are looking great. And that's another Niwaki. So yeah, the peppers are just starting to produce, so I will have to wait a little longer before I get some. And finally, I have 2 more in these little buckets here. You see, these are my linzo crosses, and these are lingrias. And you see, I grew them in this little container like that, so I can move them around. But with even then, you get a lot of peppers. So yeah, that is it for now. Oh, forgot about this one. This is the white tie crossed with omni color, looking horrible. But yeah, that's it, guys. It's not much of an update. The pepper plants are looking horrible. Harvest wasn't very good over the past few months. I just get occasional pepper, just enough to use personally. But that's pretty much it. But the plants are coming back, and they're looking great right now. So maybe in the next update, we may have a lot of pepper to show. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.